All right, I wanted to show off really quickly a updated guest as staff is going through each guest and updating them, making sure they're on standard, no bugs, stuff like that. One of them was updated, and so this is the one in question here. It's the Ninja Lawyer Assassins, um, and so they decided to change the a couple of the statuses here. We have, or at least one of them. Basically, we have choke. It's going to be strong. We have bleed, and we have Darkness Elevon here. And the Mastercraft for it is negative 20 to save. So we have a 3 status guest. All of the statuses are actually pretty useful, and a negative 20 to save to all of them. In my opinion, the only downside it is SP upkeep only. However, it's a very, very good guest. Um, Extremely strong effects because it has gold cost associated with it. In fact, the Elevon mode is like 13,000 gold per turn. It's the highest Elevon from a guest in the game. Um, and so there are some nice stacking that you can do. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about exactly where you can pick it up. It is the Ninja Lawyer Contract Assassin or something to that effect. So you need to go to Blarney, and then it's going to be the Leopard's quest right here. And so those of you with the painting can go pick that up. But I wanted to show off some things with it. So we have the guest here, and then we have all the modes here. So it's currently on Elevon mode, and then I guess there's a mode to keep it from attacking. Now this is the choke mode here, and I really wanted to show that off real quick. I'm going to go ahead and use Creature 72 Pet, because this guy can blow you up, just to limit the amount of damage that it'll do. But just to show off this real quick, so go ahead and go. Let's see. So versus 100% darkness in this example, we have a choke of it. It's actually rated at 664 if it all hits land. But it being a 2-turn choke at that power, it could actually get down to pretty low. Let me show before I get blown up here. Let's see. So this guy has 120% to darkness. So let's see if we can manage to get celerity here. No, just one round there. But this is, let's see, the choke in this case is 2 rounds at 59. So now the choke is down to 52. There may have been maybe some bug fixes because it was pretty strong before. Let's see here. Got a celerity here. Oh, it's out of SP already. Down to 43. Here, I'll just do this real quick. Come over here real quick. Now, let's see if we can get it. Let's just use Clever Disguise and see what we end up with here. So as you can see, it's actually down to 328. So I think I was just not landing hits here. But down to 216. So it gets down pretty low pretty quickly. Let's So you can use this guest to basically increase your defense by quite a bit. As you can see, already down to 10%, and that's just versus 100% darkness. Obviously, whenever the stat revamp happens and guest pet BTH increase for lucky beast mages, this will be better. A full defensive beast ranger would probably do a little bit better with this guy for right now. Alright, so we're going to switch over to bleed. Let's see what we get with bleed. So it's a 0.34 power. It's not the highest bleed in the game, but it does have a negative 20 save. And for statuses like bleed and the monster gets a per turn save, a negative 20 save status there is kind of a big deal. So as you can see, you can stack some bleeds pretty quickly. A 2 power bleed is going to be close to around 1,000 damage a turn if you can maintain the status there. Negative 20 save if you had some bleed potence, like if you were just to be wielding like fracture point weapon. I really think there needs to be some more bleed potence items made. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and pivot to Solneko, which is going to be inflicting bleed and burns on its pet and guest attacks. So the bleed's actually going to grow a little quicker. Let's go ahead and do this. Again, it's the one thing I do not like about the guest is it's the SP upkeep. I just don't prefer it. So we're up to 2.2 power bleed in 2 turns. So using Solneko and using its built-in bleed stacking up to 3 power there, it's going to be doing a lot of damage. The bleed, like I said, for every 1 power, it's like 400 to 500 on average, somewhere in there. Damage per turn. Now I'm going to pivot to Elevon mode. It's going to be twice the gold as the others. It's a very strong Elevon. So even as you see on a celerity, we're at 205%. And of course you can do shenanigans and stuff. Come back with Zfinity, and then that's going to bug that out and boost that to 305. And then this infliction will actually drop it in out of turn to 255, and then it will add it back in 307. So it'll be slightly higher than the round previous. So now you're getting into some pretty significant damage increases as you do this. You can do this again, and you'll see that it'll increase. Now it's at 408. So the Elevon is basically it's enhancing its own damage. So now we're at 359. Now one of the things that I've always liked to do is do Elevon stacking with Solneko. And part of the reason is because of the burn that it inflicts with pet and guest attacks. And then, so when I'm using Elevon stacking, I'm using a variety of combinations. I like to do Earth and Fire a lot because of Ancient Mother Staff and Independence Dagger inflicting additional Elevons. But it can really enhance some things, like for example, maybe I need some SP. This guy's SP attack right here is not that great, but as you'll be able to see, if it lucky strikes with all this Elevon stacking, So that one was 815. So now you're starting to, you can actually now use it to actually replenish your SP to something that you actually could use. So if you're using this guy, so I mean that was about 1700 and change SP with the celerity. So you can actually use this guy with this enhanced Elevon, and it'll pay for it, as well as, I mean, that's enough where you could go back with any quick cast probably. Maybe you wanted to do this here. You could use the Solneko that has, the darkness variant, and then use its skills to hit for darkness in this example. But in my opinion, the ultimate sort of way to go is you're going to need to use a pet that does darkness as well. There's a darkness death arrows that does Elevon. There is model 294, but in my opinion, the best of the best, and it's not even close, is Silas. It does the dual darkness and fire Elevon, and so whenever you are stacking Elevons, it'll stack differently because it's dual element, so it'll always list its own line item. So you could have multiple turns of this darkness Elevon stacked, and this guy won't stack with diminishing returns. It's a full Elevon, and so I wanted to try to demonstrate real quick kind of what it can do. Alright, so Chronos here with 120% to darkness. Let's go ahead and get this guy. I probably don't have proper defenses here. Let's see. I'll just do this here. Hopefully it won't blow me up. So what I'm going to do actually is the total stack idea. So you want to use celerity. So the first turn I'm going to use Shadow Feeder. I'm going to go ahead and get back some SP real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Unopoka there just to give myself some accuracy. But alright, so I'm going to use Optico, and then the first thing I'm going to do is the Slaymore Acts of Kindness. And I'm going to actually waste a player turn and let the pet Lucky Strike with the Misk stack with the Lucky Strike from the weapon. That now becomes 3 rounds of pet Hypercrit at 4.18% rate. Times 4.1. So it's about basically 41%. The next turn, since I did celerity, I'm going to go ahead and keep Optico there, and I'm going to swap my weapon to Havarti Blade. Now the purpose of this, I know I'm going to do heal the monster here, but the purpose of this is I'm hoping that Havarti Blade will proc for the next round, because it will stack with the current round, and I can use the pet and guest celerity for the next round. If it does proc, then I'll keep the setup. I'll keep Optico and Havarti Blade next round. If it doesn't proc, I'll actually swap. And I didn't bring it out for my example here, but you could get Foam Finger for the plus 50% damage, and then what you'll be able to do is just hit Clever Disguise, and Clever Disguise will make your pet and guest go twice, but you'll still maintain your 41% pet Hypercrit because of what you did this round. In the meantime, we'll have a stacking set of Elevons that will kind of go crazy. It'll be an insane amount. And this guy will inflict darkness burns that the Elevon will also enhance. And in some cases, you're well over 1,000 darkness burn once you're finished here. So we'll see what happens here. So it did not proc, but we're going to end up with 226 Elevon. As you can see, 786 and then 1283 from Silas. So that's exactly why I did what I did with the Slaymore. So we basically did 2,000 damage with Silas, and that's just on the first round. As you can see, Silas has the dual Fire and Darkness Elevon listed. That's a separate line item from the stack from the guest. And so that's significant because it is not going to be diminishing returns on the single line item here. So, since this did not proc, I can either try it again and it's a 50% rate and risk it, or since I already have Pet Hypercrit, I can just swap to Clever Disguise, and then what you're going to see, probably this is going to kill it before the Darkness Burn even sets in, but maybe we'll get to see what the Darkness Burn's able to do. As you can see, this Elevon is greatly enhancing the damage here. We got 840, 54, and 1,099 with no Lucky Strike. And the Elevon stack, as you can see, ended up 289% to Darkness and 167 once again from Silas. And then the burn that's listed as a power 5.86. So this would be equivalent to, probably you're looking at 400%. Actually, it's probably looking at 450% Elevon. So probably it would be 450% increased burn damage. So it'd be like equivalent to 20 something, 20, maybe at 5.86, maybe closing in around 25 power burn is what the end result would be. So it would probably do between 1 and 2,000 damage on top of the damage that you just saw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to Combat Practice Trainer, and let's see if we can manage to do some insanity here. So first thing I'm going to do is this guy. Go ahead and eat back my SP, which is the big issue I have with the guest. I just wish there was a MP version, but it's fine. This guy's so strong that it doesn't matter too much. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and grab, let's see, what are we doing? Actually, I'm going to do one thing before we begin. Let's go ahead and grab Foam Finger for some additional shenanigans here. Let's see. There we go there. Forgot, let's just go back into Practice Trainer just so we can normalize the damage at 100. Actually, also another thing with Silas is it Ellie Seeks, so I want to take that back. I probably should have went ahead and went with that Frost Goliath. Let's see if we can find a monster with some elevated hit points, and we can Prime Chaos Orb. This guy might be alright. Prime Chaos Orb over, which is also going to skew the damage, but that's fine. So I just need Darkness. Okay, there we go. Alright, so let's see. I'm actually just going to do this. I want to start from scratch. Alright, so we're going to have 130% to Darkness. Let's get our guest back out. Alright, let's get our armor back out. Let's see, we got the Optico. Let's see, we're going to do the Slaymore. Oh, actually, I said we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. Hopefully, let's give myself some potence here. Let's do this. Alright, okay, come back in with this. Alright, so let's do this. And I could actually get Mother's Shield or Pies for more charisma, because you can push yourself to nearly 500 charisma, so that also basically replaces the loss of dexterity for the build. But alright, so here we are. I'm going to make sure I've got all my T's crossed and I's dotted here. Alright, so I'm going to do this and then use Havarti Blade. Hopefully we will see some results with it. Alright, that's good. So we get some Elevon stacking here. 236. I already have, so there's 1166 there. So we had 600 burn damage. And then usually the second round is when it starts to go crazy. Alright, failed that one. Since I was able to get Havarti Blade proc last round, I'm going to continue on. My lucky strike rate is increasing, so therefore my damage chance is increasing. The more turns I keep this guy out, and then we're probably not even going to see the burn again, but that's fine. As you can see, this damage is crazy. Keep in mind, I could have double damage. There's 2597. I've seen this thing do over 4,000 since I've been testing this with the Cataclysm from the armor. So this setup is basically you can mow down probably 7,000 or 8,000 hit points if you get some good lucky strikes and some decent Darkness Elevon with this setup. And so it just goes to show that not just armors have the ability to nuke. This stuff can sort of piecemeal their nuke, but that's how good this guest is. It's SP cost, but it's worth it. Some people don't mind that. I personally don't like it, but whenever you have something that's good, it's actually worth it. So there you have it. The guest was updated. Super strong. Worth the carry. If you have a Greymon painting, go pick it up.